The U.S. destroyer fired several rounds toward an Iran-flagged cargo ship.
As the United States has sent what the president called a big armada to the region.
Let us be clear, a ceasefire's a pause.
417 local, Gulf of Oman. T-minus 11 minutes until impact. 10 anti-ship missiles. Nearly 7,000 American sailors and aviators in the crosshairs. Every second counts. This is the story of 42 minutes that changed everything. The sea is black glass under a weak pre-dawn moon. The wind is light. The water is calm. Off the carrier's bow, the Arabian Sea looks almost peaceful, the kind of quiet that tricks people into thinking steel and fire are far away. But 180 nautical miles southeast of the Strait of Hormuz, peace is an illusion. At the center of this floating city is USS Abraham Lincoln, a Nimitz-class supercarrier displacing around 100,000 tons, carrying a full air wing of F-35Cs, F/A-18E/F Super Hornets, EA-18G Growlers, E-2D Advanced Hawkeyes, MH-60 helicopters, and the kind of firepower that can alter a region in a single day. Around her, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers and an Aegis cruiser keep tight station, radar arrays sweeping 360 degrees, vertical launch cells loaded, cruise alert, but not yet at battle stations. This isn't just a ship, it's a strategic signal. The U.S. Fifth Fleet's area covers about 2.5 million square miles of water, from the Arabian Gulf to the Red Sea and Arabian Sea. 3 global choke points sit inside that map: Hormuz, Bab al-Mandeb, Suez. Oil, trade, military access, leverage. Imagine you're standing on that flight deck right now, hearing chains rattle, smelling jet fuel and salt, watching yellow shirt directors move beneath red deck lights. You know where you are. You know what this region means. What you don't know is that 5 radar-evading fighters are already moving toward you. Hours earlier, along Iran's Makran coast. Now in this fictional scenario, 5 Su-57 stealth fighters have been prepared inside hardened shelters near Konarak. Real coastline, real geography, real tension, fictional mission. Their orders are simple in wording, catastrophic in intent. Break through the outer screen, launch a concentrated anti-ship strike, disable or sink the carrier, and shatter American credibility in one of the world's most important maritime corridors. Tehran's calculation is ruthless. Hit the symbol, and you hit the system. Damage a destroyer, and markets flinch. Cripple a supercarrier, and the entire region holds its breath. From the enemy's perspective, the logic is seductive. The Su-57 is fast, maneuverable, and in theory designed to reduce radar exposure. Flying low over dark water, using coastal clutter, emissions control, and a timed launch window before dawn, the strike package believes it can compress American reaction time to the edge of failure. Each aircraft carries 2 long-range anti-ship missiles in a specially configured maritime strike loadout for this fictional scenario. 10 missiles total. Not enough for a guaranteed kill against a carrier strike group. Enough, they believe, to punch through chaos, force mistakes, and maybe get lucky. And in war, some commanders build entire operations around that word. Maybe. They think the Americans will see the missiles too late. They think the carrier's escorts will split attention between airborne tracks and sea-skimming threats. They think the electromagnetic fog of the Gulf of Oman will buy them the only commodity that matters in a saturation attack. Seconds. 4 seconds to classify. And 6 seconds to assign. 10 seconds to fire. Miss that rhythm, and a sea-skimming missile traveling fast enough will turn a billion-dollar deck into an inferno. But there's a problem with their plan. They are not attacking a ship. They are attacking a network. What they didn't account for is how integrated American naval defense has become. Space-based infrared sensors catch unusual thermal signatures from the coastal launch area. An orbiting asset cues regional command. Data moves before human voices do. At Al Udeid in Qatar, analysts flag the departure corridor. At Al Dhafra in the UAE, support aircraft begin shifting posture. Inside the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye orbiting high above the strike group, operators start watching a patch of darkness that suddenly doesn't feel empty anymore. The E-2D is called the Eyes of the Fleet for a reason. A broad area coverage, airborne command and control, persistence, coordination. It doesn't just see, it connects. And then the first anomaly appears. 0421 local, 4 small returns, then 5. Intermittent, faint, low, fast. Inside the Hawkeye, One mission operator leans closer to his display. Another cross-checks the track behavior. It's wrong for civilian traffic, wrong for birds, wrong for random clutter. 5 contacts, line abreast, then staggered. Altitude shifting, emissions disciplined. Someone on that aircraft says the phrase nobody wants to hear before sunrise. Probable hostile package. Now you're in the carrier's combat information center. No windows, no horizon, just screens, voices, and fluorescent tension. Tracks bloom across displays. Link 16 feeds merge with shipboard spy radar input from the escorts. The Aegis combat systems aboard the destroyers and cruiser begin refining firing solutions even before weapons release is authorized. This is information dominance in its purest form. Satellite queuing, airborne surveillance, naval radar, fighter sensor fusion, electronic support measures, all feeding one decision chain. Could you make that call with less than 10 minutes to impact? Could you tell the difference between a false alarm and the opening move of a war? General quarters. Klaxons scream across steel passageways. Sailors run. Flight deck crews scramble to clear and secure. Ammunition elevators stop. Damage control lockers open. F-35C pilots sprint for ready aircraft. Super Hornets already airborne are pushed farther out. An EA-18G Growler turns toward the threat axis. On the escorts, missile crews confirm readiness. Below deck, our young sailors barely out of high school strap on helmets and fire-retardant gear, hands shaking, training taking over where calm runs out. Heart pounding. This is real now. The Iranian strike package continues in radio silence, descending and weaving. From their cockpit view, the water is a dark ribbon broken only by instrument glow and the faintest line of dawn on the eastern horizon. They believe they are inside the seam, that dangerous slice between detection and decisive response. Their mission commander knows if they can launch within 140 nautical miles, the rest becomes math and nerve. 10 missiles in a compressed ripple, terminal approach, sea skimming, multiple bearings, force the Americans to defend everything at once. But while they believe they are slipping through the cracks have already closed. 2 F-35Cs on combat air patrol get the vector. No drama in the voices, no movie lines, just clipped words, headings, altitudes, speeds. The F-35's strength here isn't only stealth, it's the sensor picture. AN/APG-81 radar, distributed aperture system, electronic support, fused tracks. The pilots don't need to see the enemy the old way. They need enough certainty to kill at range. One pilot rolls slightly left, gains altitude, and updates the picture. 5 hostiles confirmed. Hostile intent probable. Weapons free pending final authorization. That authorization comes 18 seconds later. Not a battle, not a test, an execution. The first pair of AIM-120s leaves the rails in cold blue flashes. Then another pair. The missiles streak forward into darkness, tiny pieces of guided rage accelerating beyond what the human body can comprehend. The Iranian formation reacts instantly. Defensive turns, chaff. Electronic countermeasures. One Su-57 breaks hard starboard and survives the opening shot by pure violent maneuver. Another isn't as lucky. At 0426, the first fighter dies in a white-orange bloom above the Arabian Sea, debris spinning into black water. 5 attackers have become 4, but 4 are enough to launch. Seconds later, the surviving aircraft pop up just long enough to release their weapons. 8 anti-ship missiles separate cleanly. Then the damaged 5th aircraft, trailing systems faults, manages to salvo 2 more before turning back west. 10 total. They drop, stabilize, ignite, and streak low over the sea. Now the threat has changed shape. The jets are one problem, the missiles are another, and the clock gets much shorter. Minute 10. Outer layer engagement begins. The nearest destroyer's Aegis system has already built the track file. The SPY radar paints the inbound wave as it skims and climbs in brief programmed adjustments. Fire control solutions snap into place. SM-6 missiles launch vertically in pairs, punching upward before tipping violently toward the threat axis. Their mission is simple. Kill the raid early, kill it far, kill it clean. Anti-air warfare, terminal ballistic defense, anti-surface capability. In this moment, the SM-6 is exactly what the strike group needs. Speed, reach, flexibility. 1 launch, then 5, then 10, then the sky erupts. From the deck, sailors watching through protected stations see white spears claw upward and vanish. From CIC, the engagement is digital violence. Track 601 splashed. Track 603 splashed. Track 604 maneuvering. Track 605 still inbound. The first SM-6 pair tears apart 2 missiles more than 70 nautical miles out. The second salvo kills 3 more. 5 down, 5 still coming. But the raid isn't neat anymore. Fragments, decoys, radar reflections, clutter. This is what saturation attacks are built to create. Confusion, misclassification, delay, a fatal hesitation. The surviving missiles split their approach, 2 veering toward the cruiser, 3 driving the carrier sector, all staying low enough to hide inside the planet's curvature until the last possible moment. You're on that destroyer now, hearing the deck shudder from launches, feeling every second stretch. Training says, trust the system. Instinct says, stare at the horizon and wait for fire. The Growler joins the fight. Electronic attack floods the battlespace, jamming, deception, and disruption. Missile seekers searching for a carrier now see a more complicated ocean. Nulka decoys deploy from the escorts, rocket-propelled lures dragging false signatures away from the real ships. Chaff blooms into glittering clouds. The carrier turns hard, screws biting water, presenting a shifting target solution. A 100,000-ton ship cannot dance like a patrol boat, but she can move enough to make a missile's final geometry uglier. Middle layer now. ESSAM block. 2 missiles fire from the escorts in rapid sequence. Smaller than SM-6, built for point and local area defense, they sprint at the leakers that broke the outer ring. One incoming missile disappears in a flash, so bright it briefly turns the sea silver. Another survives, damaged but not dead, shedding fragments and still driving forward on momentum and code. 3 inbound. Not distance collapsing. The second Su-57 dies. A Super Hornet, guided by the fused picture from the Hawkeye and F-35s, catches one retreating attacker trying to descend into coastal clutter. An AIM-174B air-launched SM-6 variant isn't needed here. A standard beyond visual range shot is enough. The aircraft breaks apart, flaming pieces arcing into the water. A third Su-57, hit but not destroyed, limps west. The fourth and fifth flee at maximum speed, their strike completed, their survivability suddenly more important to them than victory. Back on the ships, nobody cares about the retreat yet. 3 missiles are still coming. 2 are dragged off by decoys long enough for another ESSM shot to connect. 1 detonates 11 nautical miles out. Another splashes after losing lock and diving into a false signature. That leaves 1 missile. In 1 leaker. One thing every carrier defense drill is built around. The final inbound weapon punches through spray at mast height, weaving, seeker active, terminal profile locked. On the carrier's island, crews brace for impact that may never come but always feels possible. On the nearest destroyer, close-in weapon system mounts spin to life, 6-barrel guns tracking with insect precision. CRAM joins the basket. The missile crosses 7 nautical miles, then 5, then 3. Short punches now. No philosophy, no speeches. 2 miles. CRAM fires. Miss. 1.2 miles. Phalanx opens up. A wall of tungsten rips into the dawn. The missile vanishes in a shredding burst of flame and spray just 1,400 yards off the carrier's starboard bow. Shockwaves slap the water. Burning fragments rain down harmlessly short. The Supercarrier lives. And the strike has failed. Minute 13. All inbound missiles neutralized. Final tally of the opening engagement. 5 Su-57s committed. 2 destroyed. 1 crippled. 2 escaped. 10 anti-ship missiles launched. 10 defeated. No carrier hit. No ship sunk. Minimal American casualties, but not 0. On 1 destroyer, 2 sailors are injured by fragment concussion from the last intercept. A flight deck handler breaks an ankle in the general quarters scramble. 3 wounded, thousands alive because systems worked exactly when they had to. And this is where some people misunderstand modern naval war. Defense is not the end of the story. Defense buys the right to answer. Counterattack authorization. The request doesn't crawl up the chain, it rockets. The President is informed. CENTCOM is informed. Fifth Fleet doesn't need a seminar on intent. An attempted carrier kill inside one of the world's critical maritime corridors crosses every red line that matters. The response directive is brutal in its clarity. Neutralize launch infrastructure, blind the targeting network, erase the ability to repeat the strike. Not symbolic retaliation, capability denial. Now shift perspective again. From the enemy's view, the operation was supposed to be a demonstration, a showcase of daring, stealth, and asymmetric pressure. Instead, they've triggered the one thing they could not survive, a coordinated multi-domain purge. The counterstrike unfolds in layers. First, information. ISR assets confirm which coastal radars went active, which runways lit up, which data links transmitted, which command nodes coordinated the launch. Electronic intelligence from the Hawkeye, Growler, escorts, and regional support aircraft creates a kill web in minutes. While Tehran is still trying to determine whether the carrier is damaged, American planners already have aim points. Second, suppression. EA-18G Growlers push jamming deeper toward the coast. Cyber and electronic effects disrupt portions of the local air defense picture. Not complete blindness, just enough confusion to widen the door. Third, steal. From 2 destroyers and 1 attack submarine, 34 Tomahawk land attack missiles surge toward the Makran coast. Yet their targets are not random. Runway intersections, hardened aircraft shelters, fuel farms, coastal surveillance radar, air defense batteries supporting the launch corridor, communications bunkers, a fictional strike package against real categories of military infrastructure. From the carrier, IR-12 F/A-18E/F. Super Hornets launch with escort support, joined by 8 F-35Cs and 2 Growlers. Some carry AGM-88E AARGM-class anti-radiation weapons for emitters. Others carry precision-guided munitions for fixed targets. Maritime patrol support pushes surface tracks to the front, because if missile boats or support ships are moving, they are about to become part of the casualty list. Less time than your lunch break after nearly being hit, the strike group has shifted from shield to sword. The first Tomahawks arrive. You don't hear them until it's too late. Low, fast, intelligent, terrain following. One command building disappears in a bloom of dust and internal fire. 2 hardened shelters rupture. A fuel storage area erupts into a column of orange-black flame visible for miles. Mighty coastal radar dishes that helped shape the attack corridor are smashed apart. An air defense site tries to activate, radiates briefly, and becomes a target. This is systematic erasure, not of a nation, of a capability. Minute 21. The air wing follows. F-35Cs use stealth and sensor fusion to confirm battle damage and push target updates. Super Hornets attack surviving infrastructure with precision. AARGM shots chase active emitters. Secondary explosions roll across the base perimeter. One runway is cut in 3 places. Another taxiway is cratered. Maintenance depots burn. A munitions storage revetment cooks off in violent sequence. Vehicles scatter. Commanders who expected a daring one-shot raid now face the full consequence of touching a supercarrier and missing. At sea, the response continues outward. A U.S. surface action element, cued by maritime surveillance, engages 2 armed fast attack craft and 1 larger support vessel moving near the Iranian coast. An SM-6 in anti-surface mode takes the larger contact. Ship-launched weapons handle the rest. Small hulls disappear in spray and flame. The point is unmistakable. The launch chain, the sensor chain, the maritime support chain, every link is under attack. Minute 28. The crippled 3rd Su-57 attempts emergency recovery inland. It never makes it. Damage, loss of systems, maybe pilot error, maybe runway denial. In this fictional scenario, it crashes short of a secondary strip, turning a prestige asset into a smoking crater. The 2 surviving aircraft land farther north, but land to what? Not a victory. Not even a contested success. They return to an air arm now missing shelters, fuel, munitions access, and the confidence that stealth alone can cross a modern naval kill web. By 0449, the operation is effectively over. 42 minutes from first probable detection to final confirmed strike effects. Think about that. 42 minutes. Less than a gym session, less than a movie episode. In that time, 5 stealth fighters tried to rewrite deterrence in the Arabian Sea and instead became a case study in why layered naval defense is so hard to break. Minute 4, first hostile track confirmed. Minute 9, first Su-57 destroyed. Minute 13, all anti-ship missiles defeated. Minute 21, first Tomahawks on target. Minute 42, launch infrastructure burning, attack chain shattered. And the numbers tell the story even better. 5 attacking aircraft, 10 anti-ship missiles, 1 supercarrier strike group. Result, 0 mission kills, 0 ships lost, 10 of 10 inbound weapons neutralized, 3 of 5 attacking aircraft removed from the order of battle, multiple launch and support facilities rendered inoperable. They gambled on a decapitation strike. They got a calculated demonstration of integrated power. This is the lesson. Modern warfare at sea is no longer about a single platform being better than another in isolation. It's not carrier versus fighter, missile versus hull, pilot versus pilot. It's network versus network, system versus system, decision speed versus fantasy. Iran, in this fictional scenario, put faith in stealth, surprise, and political shock. The United States answered with sensor fusion, disciplined crews, layered defense, and immediate coordinated retaliation. Technology mattered, training mattered, but above all, integration mattered. Every radar, not every operator, every data link, every launch cell, every pilot in the stack contributed to the same outcome. And never forget the human side. Beneath every acronym is a person, a 22-year-old air defense watchstander on a destroyer, a carrier deck crewman freezing for half a second when the klaxon hits, a pilot trusting a voice in his headset more than his own eyes, families asleep thousands of miles away with no idea how close the sea came to fire. That's what high-end conflict really looks like. Not clean maps and neat arrows, people making irreversible decisions under impossible time pressure. So, what does this fictional scenario reveal? That sinking a U.S. supercarrier isn't just about finding it or reaching it. It's about surviving the invisible architecture around it. The satellites, the Hawkeyes, the F-35s, the Aegis screen. The electronic warfare, the damage control teams, the retaliatory doctrine waiting behind all of it. You don't attack the carrier, you attack the entire American battle network. And if your first wave fails, the answer comes fast. How does this change your view of modern warfare? Share your take, subscribe to join the discussion.